Good evening, everyone. It is May 15th, 2023, just past midnight on the East Coast. Luckily, I'm on the Pacific Coast. Now, what did we have today? Really not much, which is kind of becoming the anthem of the ES. Uh, the overnight, what we had was a ramp up, a very, very clean, nice overnight ramp up, holding kind of the first standard deviation of VWAP, and then distributed around where we had the main auction on that Friday session in the morning before selling off. So we kind of held that, and then what I was looking for today was a sell off and then a move back up to the 50s, and that would result in some sort of liquidation. So I wanted to see a sell off, that's buy on dip, and then a move up to the overnight highs around 50s. And then I was offered at 55 quarter, which unfortunately was high of the day to the tick, and I did not get filled. And then that is when we had our mini liquidation. Now, importantly, we held 41.38, last week's point of control, pretty much the monthly point of control that we've had, and that pivot that you're looking at right there on the screen. Uh, that is also roughly where our VWAP closed for the session. So we held that area. It was a little bit higher around 40.5, but we held that kind of 38 to 40 area into the close. We ramped up and had a nice high close, almost at I think it was right around the that value area high, actually above value area high. I'm just looking at what standard deviation were we trading. Yeah, above the first standard deviation of VWAP for the close. So quite a high close, and what you're getting now is just that selling off of those longs that we saw. We did have a lot of dumping into the close. I'll pull that up for you guys, and that's what that looks like. So we had some really big size dumping this thing off into the close, which was interesting to see. That's been something we've been seeing really frequently lately. Has just been this dump into the close, and then that's what gives us this move down lower in the morning, and then we see if it gets bought on dip, and then move back up, and the liquidation. That's just been the moves that we've been seeing. Now, over on the Nasdaq, a little bit of a different scenario. The Nasdaq was surprisingly, I was not looking for it to hold a third week at a prior week's VWAP close. I was bid there, and I got out because I thought ES was heading lower. I thought we were heading to 41.16, but I got out of that long there at whatever it was. I was long at what is that? Weekly VWAP close 357. I was long 357's low of the day came in at 51.5. So I was long down there. I didn't think it would hold. I wasn't seeing a lot of short covering happening. It was kind of churning around there. I thought we'd get a further liquidation, but we did not. We held that weekly VWAP close, and important to note, now this could be the third week where we have weekly VWAP close, last week's weekly VWAP close as our low of the week. I'm doubtful that's the scenario, but that could very well be it. So I'll be keeping that in mind. And we did have that 77 quarter level come in as pretty much the high of the day. I think the high of the day came in just a few points higher than that. Yeah, it came in at what is that? 80. So 2 3/4 off of that. So we ramped up after holding the weekly VWAP close. We ramped up through the overnight highs and went to the weekly VWAP second standard deviation of last week, pretty much right beside last week's RTH highs, close to those external trading hour highs as well. So how are we looking to trade this tomorrow? Well, important to note, we do have retail month-over-month numbers coming out at 8:30. We might have some Fed talk as well. I didn't note them. They're not notable. That is all we have for tomorrow. And if you can tell, not too interested in trading this thing. I will consider a short at 58.5. That is in the scenario we open below 40, below 49. So the idea being if we open within yesterday's value, or sorry, today's Monday RTH's value, I'll be looking to get short at 58s. That is settlement highs. That's also roughly where 95% of the volume was done last week, and it's also pretty much where last week's second standard deviation of VWAP was done. So I think that's going to be a major hurdle, and then also 63 and 68s as well, and those are some look above and fail trades. To the downside, if we get a gap down, I want to be long once we reclaim that 23 number. I think we could get a nice move back to the 38s, and otherwise I'm looking to get long 16s. Right now we're just, again, cleaning off that inventory. On the NQ, Uh, Once again, looking pretty buy on dip here. You can see I'm being aggressive with this thing. Even if we have a red week, I think we'll have some nice aggressive two-way trade. Uh, if we gap up over 13,494, in other words, the external trading hour weekly highs from last week, where we had this nice little double top in the pre-market, if we gap up above this, I will be bid at today's 4 p.m. close, that 472 number. Also, what seemed to be kind of a nice level here. Uh, if we just get a gap up above that little RTH high and can't get up there, I will still consider being long at 453 and 3/4. Today's point of control, also where we caught the bid once and twice during that Thursday overnight session, the overnight in the pre-market, and what looked like to be kind of around the key resistance during that Thursday session. Uh, Below there, looking at long 397s. This, I believe, if I can recall correctly, yes, that was roughly the point of control from Friday's RTH session. That is our weekly value area high from last week. That is the weekly close from last week. And that is where we had a nice support and then once again support after auctioning around it. So I want to see this hold and then move back up towards the highs. Uh, Below there, I want to take another long at 359/4. Just the auction from today's low of the day, where I think we could have very well trapped some shorts, and below there, just the same longs as I was looking at before. So, and I think that should now be changed to settlement lows. Yes, T2L run. There we go. So that's what I'm looking at. I have a short setup at 504, but I might go ahead and erase that. We'll see how the overnight kind of trades out right now. This did also get another high close, just like the ES. I think we closed above the first standard deviation of VWAP, close to that weekly high, the RTH weekly high from last week, just a handful of points away from that. So if we start, what I want to see is if we start gapping above these numbers, we'll be above the second standard deviation of VWAP from last week. And to me, that usually means we're going to start getting a little bit explorative and a little bit hyper bullish in nature. And keeping all this in mind, that yes, I do think we're going to have overall a sell down to this 100, 200 level this week. And maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. But anyway, hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. By God, we finished this within 8 minutes. Didn't even get to the 10-minute mark. There will be an update to this pre-market, per usual, because I think we may be in for an interesting overnight session. No major news other than that 8:30 pre-market retail numbers. See you guys tomorrow, and trade safe.